Hey everybody, I'm Anna McEwen. And now for Bob Switzer with the epic narrative.
Well, there we go. I think we're going to finish it up today. We are going to call it the final episode of season 4. It's been an interesting run. You guys know that. It's it was a stretch for me to do this. A good stretch. You know, I think it's healthy for us to do that in our spiritual lives. And, I dragged you guys along with me. I hope we learned some things along the way. I know I did. I learned a lot about the law that I did not see before because I thought it was just a bunch of rules. And I see the heart of the Father throughout it. And it was good for me to see that. I've used it multiple times in my life and having conversations with people now where they bring up the law and I can genuinely, thank you, Bob. I can genuinely talk about the fact that there are clear scriptures about the heart of the Father in these verses. And I know they're not. I don't try to convince everybody to believe the way I believe. To me, it's a journey. I love my journey. I love having a good God. I love being optimistic and generous and loving and hopeful. And I was gleefully entertained as the law determined to be just as good as God's heart is. It's awesome to me that that's what happens. But that's what happens, and it's happened literally every season that I've done the epic narrative. I've thought, man, there's some passages here that are going to be real trouble for God to be looking good in. And then he looks really good in them because he is really good. And I don't have to twist, turn, or do theological gymnastics in order to keep him that way. Some people have to do a lot of gymnastics to get them to stay angry and wrath-filled all the time. But that's another subject, and we've dealt with it as well. And there's no need to continue doing it today. But thanks for staying on this journey with me. It's been a fun one. Let's finish up this book. We are going to start out reading a little bit of chapter 31. Sorry, I'm opening up the Bible. There it is. Then Moses went out and spoke these words to all Israel. I am now 120 years old, and I am no longer able to lead you. The Lord has said to me, you shall not cross the Jordan. The Lord your God himself will cross over ahead of you and will destroy those nations before you and will take possession of those lands. And Joshua will cross over ahead of you. And the Lord said, as the Lord said. So here we see that Moses, right, is walking. Well, sages say that Moses is walking throughout the camp. He didn't call a big meeting on the side of the mountain. It says that on his last night, he's spending time going at the under the banner of the pods of camps. Remember, they camped in groups of 3. So he's walking around and he is speaking to the leaders and to probably anybody who is available hanging out at that time. I imagine by the last round, it's pretty late at night, but he's finding people awake and he's telling them, this is what's going on. You're going to cross over. God's going to hand the nations over to you. Joshua is going to lead you. I'm not going. I imagine Moses, we've talked about it before. He wanted to go. He asked the Lord several times. Made implications that, he might be able to go. And God's like, no, you're not going. So I think that there were always people probably that thought the same thing. Well, of course Moses is coming with us. Like, he might not lead us into battle anymore. He's 120 years old, but he's got to be going with us. What's he going to do? He hasn't died yet. Everybody else died of that generation. But he's making it clear, I'm going to die. I'm not going to make it. And that's okay. Joshua's going with you. He's making sure everybody knows, again, who's getting the lead role. And I think, again, you see that it says the Lord's going to give the nations over to you. There's no There's no permanent expectation that this is all about war and genocide. There is an expectation that there will be war because people will come up against him and they will do battle. But he's like, trust God on this. Follow the Lord on this. He will fight your battles just like he fought those other battles. He will cross over before you. He will deliver them into your hands. Be strong and courageous. Don't be afraid or testify because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you or forsake you. Moses summoned Joshua and said to him in the presence of all of Israel, this would be like the next morning, be strong and courageous, for you must go with this people to the land the Lord has sworn to your ancestors to give them, and you must divide it amongst them as their inheritance. The Lord himself will go before you and be with you. He will never leave you or forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. That's the heart of God. He never leaves or forsakes. He never has. He's always been consistent in this. His character has always been the same. He never leaves. He never forsakes. He's always good. This is who God is. I will say this again. I know I think I brought it up before, but the Hebrew tradition, and honestly, it's not just Hebrew. There's a large ancient tradition that good people, famous people, strong leaders, people of notoriety, people of note. I can't say the word. Don't make me try. Notoriety. I can't. Notoriety. I can't. Stop it. Okay. People of that kind of nature died on the day of their birth and or their conception. So most people didn't make note of their birthday. They had real like, it wasn't like we do now, right? Where we're like, we all know when we were born, the time we were born, how much we weighed. Most of us do anyways. But in these traditions, you gave birth and you just kind of, it was like whatever. But if you were a famous person, the day you died was considered the day that you were born. That was the same. Now for Jesus, we have his birthday 9 months after what's considered his death, and about 2 centuries after the birth of the church. There was a general teaching that Jesus was conceived on the day that he died. So late March became the day that he died. So 9 months later became the day of his birth, which is in December. And I know that's the one that makes the most sense to me. I know there are other theories and concepts as to why we celebrate when we celebrate. And I do know that there are those who could care less about those traditions because they're all about the fact that it's all about, what do I want to say now? Idol worship and cults and demons and whatever. All those dates are tied in. And I can have that conversation, with you sometime if you want. I'm not going to die on that hill. I'm just saying that generally speaking, the day you died, if you were somebody of fame, that was considered the day of your conception and or your birth. And then from that point on, that date was a date that was noted and combined with it too. So that's why we see it. And again, he warns the people again, follow, you reap what you sow. Follow the laws in the heart of the king. He will never leave you or forsake you. Don't be afraid. Don't be discouraged. God's always with you. He's going to fight your battles. He's going to turn the nations over to you. You don't have to do any of the work. Just follow God, love God, develop the culture of heaven, and let God do the rest. He talks about the nation, turning against God again. The fact that, it's going to be the songs that are written, we're going to deal with another one coming up, but the songs that are written, much like all lyrics, they're written from the point of the artist and their experience. And there's lots of worship songs that I sing, and I read the words and I think that's not who God is. Like he doesn't behave that way. But the experience of the author or the artist, like that is the way that they experience God. It doesn't mean that it's true. It just means that's what it feels like when they're writing. And it means a lot to people because people relate to it and they say, yes, that's what I feel. I feel like God is distant, that he's walked away, or that he's showed up all of a sudden and it's amazing. And I don't know where he was, but now it's awesome. And it's like, there's so many things there that aren't, quote, true about God, but they are to the artist and to many people's experience. So I think we see a lot of that in these verses with the songs that are being written. After verse 24, after Moses finished writing the book of the words of this law from beginning to end, he gave this command to the Levites who carried the Ark of the Covenant. Take this book of the law and place it beside the Ark of the Covenant. There it will remain as a witness against you. For you know how rebellious and stiff-necked you are. If you have been rebellious against the Lord while I am still alive with you, how much more will you be after I die? Assemble before me all the elders of your tribes and all the officials so that I can speak these words in their hearing and call for the heavens and the earth to testify against them. For I know that after my death, you are sure to become utterly corrupt and turn away from the things that I've commanded you. A disaster will fall upon you because you will do evil in the sight of the Lord and arouse his anger by what your hands have done. I like, come on, man. That's just really intense. That is not a leader who speaks life over people. And I understand that he is trying to communicate one last time. One last time. Wasn't there a song? Oh, Hamilton. Sorry. I'll go back. Sorry. He's trying to communicate one last time. He's trying to communicate in a way that it will stick, and he chooses the negative. He chooses to say, horrible things. He's speaking identity over the people. He's like, you are hard-hearted, you are stiff-necked, you rebelled against God. When I am alive, wait till you see how badly you rebel when I'm gone. This is terrible. Disaster is going to come upon you. I want to get everybody together. I want to make sure they know about this. This to me is a horrible way to go out. I mean, I've been around people, if you followed me, I talked about the job I had at the hospital. I've been around people end of life stuff. And some are very sweet. Most get nasty. They just do. I can't tell you the number of wives who apologized to me for the way that their husband treated me while I was there. All I was doing was sitting there. And they would lash out at me, call me names, tell me to get out, call the nurse, tell the nurse to get me out of there. Why am I staring at them? Why am I there? Da, da, da. Like they're ugly. I don't know if Moses is having one of these moments or not, but the way he talked about to them it's just ugly. That's the bottom line. So then he starts writing the words to a song, and it starts there in the last verse of 31, goes on to 32. It says, "Listen, heavens, and I will speak. Hear you, earth, the words of my mouth." So he's talking about, basically, he wants a witness to the song. He wants the earth, the heavens, and everybody in them to be a witness. He's calling them as again, like an artistic expression. Everybody's going to know. The whole world will celebrate, or the whole world will be a witness to your destruction. The world ain't going to know, and that sort of thing. But that's the artistic expression here. And he basically goes through the past, the present, the future, all mixed together. And he calls heaven as a witness, both to the choice that they're going to make to fall away from God. He also says, you will return to him and it will be a joy-filled occasion. But generally, it's just kind of all mixed together. It's again, kind of end of life mindset here. And it's mostly in the negative. I mean, if you look at verses, sorry, I'm going to go to 19. The Lord saw this and rejected them because he was angered by his sons and daughters. I will hide my face from them, he said, and see what their end will be. For they are a perverse generation, children who are unfaithful. They made me jealous by what is no God and angered me with their worthless idols. I will make them envious of those who are not a people. I will make them angry by a nation who has no understanding. For a fire will be kindled by my wrath, one that burns down the realm of the dead below. It will devour the earth and its harvest and set afire the foundations of the mountains. I will heap calamities on them and spend my arrows against them. I will send wasting famines against them, consuming pestilences and deadly plagues. I will send them fangs of wild beasts and venoms of vipers and glide of dust. Oh my gosh, honestly, it's horrible. It's horrible what he writes about God. And why does he do this? Again, I don't think he's writing as God. I don't think God is telling him to write this. I think he has the freedom to write it, and I think he's writing about his experience and his expectation of the behavior of God when God sees a rebellious nation. And he uses artistic poetry, expression, to show extreme behavior from God in hopes that the people will sit back and say, okay, we better never, ever, ever disobey the law. But whenever you go to the extreme like that, I've never seen it work, because this is what happens. And I'll use parents as an example. A parent will say, if you do that one more time, I'm going to send you to your room and you will not come out for 5 days. And the kid does it one more time, and the parent doesn't send them to the room, let alone for 5 days. Or maybe they go to the room with the child and they talk to him for a little while and they bring him back out. Like, whatever the extreme thing was doesn't happen. And what does that actually teach the child? What's being said isn't true. My parents aren't telling me the truth. Like, they don't mean it. And they build their whole lives around this, right? And then you get those well, for me, it's funny. It's funny, sad, but you see those, YouTube clips of people that get pulled over by the cops, and they just keep saying, "Well, you can't pull me over. You can't pull me over. You can't arrest me. You can't arrest me." Why? I am going to arrest you. Like, you ran over, you drove your car into a house. I have to arrest you. You can't arrest me. You can't arrest me. And they start screaming. That's all they know, right? Because their whole lives, their parents never did anything to them. They just said they would. And they just can't believe they met somebody who's actually going to do what they said they're going to do. So I think this whole thing is an artistic desire, artistic expression from Moses to keep people from doing what he believes they're going to do, which is turn from God. He presented it as a song in hopes that the people would sing it and they would understand. And preachers and worship leaders do this all the time. I mentioned worship songs that talk about, God showing up like out of nowhere. And it's like, he never left. He never leaves you or forsakes you. That's the truth. You might not feel it, but that's the truth. Or preachers will talk about, if we don't get more people to sign up, this ministry is gonna go down, and the city will become a desolate place, and it'll be run over by evil because we're the only people that are holding up the standard. We're holding up the banner of God, and if this church goes under, like, you need to give more, or the whole world is coming to an end. It's like, that's not true. We all know that's not true, but in the expression of the artist up front, often they're not actually pastors, right? They're just paid. They're paid to give a sermon. They're paid to entertain. And in their realm of entertainment, they use extreme language. And people love it. They're like, oh, man, it was such a good message. Of course, we know none of it's true. I mean, God's not actually going to do that to us. But, hey, it was pretty awesome. I felt jittery. Woohoo! I got the chills. They was multiplying. Sorry, that's probably a bad reference. All right. Let's see. We're going to go on. Yeah, we're not going to read that whole song. We're going to go on to another chapter, though. Chapter 33. This is the blessing of Moses, the man of God pronounced by the Israelites before his death. So this is pretty much considered the end. He said, the Lord came from Sinai and dawned over them from Seir. He shone forth from Mount Paran. He came from the myriads and the holy ones from the south, from the mountains of the slopes. Surely it is you who love the people. All the holy ones are in your hand. At your feet they all bow down, and you will receive instructions. Moses is basically combining blessings and prophecy over the people. He talks about tribal responsibilities to the nation. Like Jacob and his sons, Moses continues the blessings. Like I said, like Jacob did with his 12 sons. Moses is doing this to all 12 tribes. And he calls for the faithfulness. He calls for the keeping of the law over and over and over again. But he only does the 12 tribes. So somebody got skipped. If you remember, because of Joseph's sons, there was 13. So he skips Simeon. And, there's a few people have theories about it. He combined Manasseh and Ephraim under their father Joseph, and three of the main. So he combines those two. He skips one and combines two to make 12. But the characteristic of the nation is that God is going to dwell with them. That was something he wanted them to hang on to. God is going to dwell with you. And you will follow God. His decrees, his commands, his law. You will develop this culture. And they were to acknowledge God's sovereignty, which of course is a good conversation. We've had it here before. Some people's view of God's sovereignty is, in essence, we are puppets. Now they're comfortable with that because God is good and he's just and he's righteous, so he knows exactly what we're going to do, and that's exactly what we do. And he doesn't force us to do it. We have the choice to do it, but we do it anyways because he knows we're going to do it because we didn't really have a choice to do it. As you know, I believe God knows every possible thing we could ever do and all the ramifications of every possible choice we could ever make. He also knows our tendencies and the odds of us choosing certain things, and he knows best how to predict what we're going to do, but I don't believe he forces us to do it. I don't think he steps into time periodically and says, all right, Noah, I'm going to make Noah do this. I think he presented Noah with the possibility, and Noah took it. He probably knew he would, but he didn't force him to. And I think we see that again when he goes to Moses on 2 occasions and says, "Let's start over. I'll start with you, and we'll start a whole new nation." And Moses is like, "Absolutely not." Now he was very confident Moses wasn't going to take him up on his offer, but if he had, it wouldn't have ruined everything, because God would have started over. And God is, a lot of people, if God is completely sovereign, then God has to both do good and evil things. And that's difficult for people. And I don't blame them. That's a difficult thing to wrap your head around. If God's in total control, right, then why did my dad get cancer and die? He should still be here. My mom is. She misses him dearly every day and has for years. Did God do that to my mom? No, that would be evil. No, the enemy did that. Well, God could have healed him. Yeah. Yeah, he could have. I don't have a good answer, but I do know this. God didn't plan my dad to have cancer. Did good things come from my dad having cancer? Did family come together? Did decisions made that were good for decisions to be made? Yeah, they were. But I don't believe that God does both good and evil. I don't think he can. I just think God's goodness is so powerful that it shows up no matter what or who or where we might be. The beautiful thing of God's sovereignty. It's a debate that's been around a long time. I hope you guys enjoy having conversations about it. Then Moses climbed Mount Nebo from the plains of Moab to the top of this other mountain and across from Jericho. And there the Lord showed him the whole land from Gilead to Dan, all of Naphtali, the territory of Ephraim and Manasseh, and the land of Judah, as far as the Mediterranean Sea, the Negev, the whole region of the valley of Jericho, the city of palms, and as far as Zor. And the Lord said to him, "This is the land I promised an oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I said, I will give it to your descendants. I have let them see it with your own eyes, but you will not cross over." And Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in Moab, as the Lord had said, and he buried him in Moab in the valley opposite of this place. But to this day, no one knows where the grave is. He was 120 years old when he died, yet his eyes were not weak, nor his strength gone. So, God showed Moses the land, and this is where clearly this is a supernatural event. It was a magic carpet ride. Had to be a supernatural journey. Both physical and spiritual, he saw the land. He saw the vibrations of creation in the land. Now, some would say that he didn't physically travel the land. It was all in a dream, and that's fine. The language supports either. He could have physically flown Moses around the land. He could have also spiritually just put him to sleep and showed him the land in a dream. Either way is fine. He could have done both. But in verse 10, it says, since then, no prophet has risen in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. This is a beautiful thing. Moses knew God face to face. In other words, Moses and God were friends. They were familiar with each other. They were conversational with one another. Things were made clear between each other. Not just words, but also the expressions of one's face. That's what's contained in these words. The connection was easy between them. It was quick between them. And it was something that I'm sure blessed Moses immensely throughout his life, but it was also something that Moses knew was available for everyone. This is what God was calling the nation to. He was calling them to a nation of that kind of connection. And knowing that that was available is, I think, sometimes where we catch some of Moses's passion, in that he says, you know, basically, I want this so badly from you, for you, I should say. I want this so badly for you as a nation. I can't express to you violently enough, do not walk away from God. But I know you're gonna, but don't. But I know you're gonna, but don't. Now in verse 6, it says he buried him. And another phrasing of that is that he died by the mouth of God. This is seen as a kiss. When you think about the friendship of God with Moses, for me, I know this is artistic in my brain. I picture him showing Moses the entire promised land, and then he says, you're not going there. I'm going to bring you somewhere even better. And Moses knew that was it. And I picture Moses just looking at the Father and hugging him. And the Father gives him a big kiss and, in essence, just grabs him and carries him off to heaven. It was that personal, and I think it was beautiful. And then the body of Moses was buried, and no one knows where. Many people have looked for it. Some have claimed to have found it. Most people theorize that if they had found the body of Moses, they would have worshipped the body of Moses, because that's the nature of men. They exalt men and they miss out on God. But that picture of Moses and God was, like I said, the design and desire for all people on earth. And you know, Joshua takes over after mourning Moses for what are they? Sorry, it's here. Israelites grieved Moses in the plain of Moab for 30 days until the time of weeping and mourning was over. And now Joshua, son of Nun, was filled with the spirit and wisdom because Moses had laid hands on him. So the Israelites listened to him and did all that the Lord had commanded Moses. Since then, no prophet has risen in Israel like Moses, who the Lord knew face to face, who did all the signs and wonders the Lord had sent him to do in Egypt to the Pharaoh and all of his officials in the whole land. No one has ever shown the mighty power and performed the awesome deeds that Moses did in the sight of all of Israel. And that's how it ends. Moses, I believe, embraced and kissed by God, carried to heaven, buried secretly so that God is the one who gets exalted, not Moses. And at the end of 30 days in the wilderness, Joshua is ready to lead. He received the anointing. He received the, what do they call it? The cloak of leadership. Those are some Christianese things that people like to say. And there is value to getting your, having hands laid on you and having leadership passed on to you. And people recognized the leadership on Joshua. It wasn't just, he was Moses' mentoree, so I guess we have to. It was like, no, Joshua had clear leadership. He clear authority from God. And so they listened to him. It's too bad we don't have a book we could. Oh, we do have a book we could study. We could study the book of Joshua, and we will on the next season of The Epic Narrative. Thanks for coming, everyone.
Don't go anywhere. We've got Bob Thoughts.
Should we have a graduation song? You made it through season 4. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. Congratulations, everyone. It is good to have you here. I'm glad you made it. Listen, we're going to start season 5, and I'm just telling you, don't listen to season 5 if you have this very idealistic, amazing view of the life of Joshua and you don't want to consider anything else except for the fact that he was an amazing leader who loved God and conquered the enemies of God to bring the promised land to the people of God. Because if you don't want to mess with that view of who Joshua is, then just heed my warning. If you're willing to consider, just consider that there might be another option on how to view Joshua. You are going to love season 5. Oh man, you're going to love it because I was blown away. I really was. You could ask my wife. The whole time I was recording Joshua, I was like, I mean, this is who he was. This is who he was. This was the decision he made and continued, and the reputation that he started. I will say this. I will tell you, when you listen to season 5, I think a lot of what happens in Judges will make sense to you, because that's exactly what's going on. People will be amazed. You're going to sit back and go, oh, maybe this is why in Judges people kept cycling in and out of obedience to God. Maybe it's because of the system and the culture that Joshua set up. Oh, what? Oh, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. I can't wait to see you. We'll be back in a few weeks with season 5 of The Epic Narrative.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening. If you like what you heard, you can subscribe to this podcast on any platform you use. You can also reach out to Bob for questions or booking at thebobswitzer.com or email him at thebobswitzer@gmail.com. See you next week, guys.